Nuclear power. A safe solution? Ever since the first atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, governments have been trying to stress that the atom has a peaceful as well as a warlike side. In early propaganda films, which were made to gain the support of the public round the idea of a nuclear research program, we were shown pictures of a high-speed train traveling around the world. It was said that the train was powered by the equivalent of the energy contained in a glass of water. And it was claimed that this energy, which was won by harnessing the power of the atom, would be cheap, efficient, clean, and above all, safe. Besides, men would not have to labor beneath the ground in dirty and dangerous conditions to win the coal which would fuel our industry. The nuclear power stations of the future would not cause a decrease in the world's natural resources, since they did not depend on burning fossil fuels like coal or oil. Thus, our resources would last much longer. It all took a lot longer to happen than predicted. The first disappointment, of course, was that a power station could not actually be fueled with a glass of water. The power station still had to be fueled with radioactive and potentially dangerous substances, which were won from the ground by accident-prone miners, just like coal. These substances had to be transported to the power stations by train in special containers. Many of the early objections and protest campaigns came from the inhabitants of villages through which such trains passed, as they feared that in the event of a collision, the containers of radioactive substances would break and spill radiation onto surrounding houses and countryside. The railway authorities were fairly successful in reducing such fears and showing that the containers they used could never break, not even in a head-on collision. Concern was almost never directed at the power stations themselves, and we were assured that scientists had foreseen everything that could possibly go wrong and taken the necessary precautions. What the nuclear power station designers and engineers had not taken into account, however, was Murphy's Law, which states that if a thing can possibly go wrong, sooner or later it will. At 3 Mile Island in the USA and Windscale in the UK, accidents happened despite all precautions. Radiation spilt into the atmosphere, and we heard for the first time of the China syndrome, the dreadful possibility of a nuclear accident burning through the Earth all the way to China. This seemed to be quite a weak possibility until Chernobyl, the world's worst nuclear accident so far. We saw pictures of a meltdown, where the entire core of the reactor becomes molten and uncontrollable, and also heard for the first time of a melt-through, where the radioactive mass melts through the Earth's crust, and at the very least contaminates the groundwater of an entire river basin system, making thousands of square miles uninhabitable for decades and totally destroying the agriculture of an entire region. The fact that it was not quite as catastrophic as what is described above is due to the incredible and heroic self-sacrifice of the Soviet firefighters who tunneled beneath the molten mass, entering the radioactive zone to build a shield of concrete beneath the power station and wall it off forever. In the meantime, the plume of radioactivity had risen high above Western Europe and, with the rain, dropped, deadeningly, in Sweden. Europe and the world were faced with an ecological disaster which could be much greater than that caused by an accidental firing of a powerful military weapon. Suddenly, the peaceful uses of atomic energy did not seem so peaceful anymore.